So thank you, Lena, for the introduction and the invitation, and good morning, everybody. Um, Thank you to the Infoteam's members for joining our webinar today. We hope you're ready to learn about robotic process automation and how it can unlock value for Infor M3 and how we can help you on this journey. So my name's James Abdul. I'm the Senior Vice President at Fortune for the UK and Europe. And I'll be your host today. Speaking in English, apologies, my Norwegian is not up to scratch, and I don't think you'd appreciate that. And I'll be your host today, along with Harshana, our AVP for Quality Engineering and Intelligent Automation. Harshana, do you want to say a few words?
Hi everyone, good morning. It's my pleasure to share the RPA experience with you all today and looking forward for an interactive knowledge sharing session.
Thank you. So before we start, let me talk you through what we're going to touch on today. So we'll be focusing on some key areas of RPA, starting with what is RPA and IA, and then we'll look at some pain points that we've come across. We'll take you through a really good case study where we've been transforming a finance department of a large food and beverage M3 client. We'll look at some standard M3 use cases, some tips on, if you want to start your RPA journey, and finally look at, what are the benefits of RPA. As Lena mentioned, there is a Q&A session at the end, but please do at any time feel free to put a question into the chat box, because it might be the right time to answer it then. It might be more relevant, or we'll save them for the end. So let's kick off. So I'm sure you've heard the word RPA or robotic process automation, but let me try and simply explain what it is so we can have a meaningful conversation and discover how RPA is changing the way we work. So RPA is a software basically that allows you to automate and optimize your processes. It helps you improve accuracy and efficiency while reducing the need for manual intervention. So in simple terms, it's kind of like having a digital workforce of bots helping you with high volume, time consuming, repetitive tasks by replicating the way that a human would typically work. So, like the areas on the slide, these are processes that are carried out manually, which are rule-based, repetitive, and time-consuming. They're your most eligible RPA candidates. And as per Gartner, and we all like a Gartner stat, the global RPA market is steadily growing. It's already pushing, $2 billion, and that was in 2021. And it's expected to rise above $13 billion by 2028. So, you might want to start moving sooner than you think. So let's have a look at what IA is all about as well. So intelligent automation is when RPA processes merge with artificial intelligence, or AI for short. This enables us to increase the automation of business processes and add in a layer of intelligence. It's sometimes called hyperautomation. By 2025, the 10% of enterprises that establish AI engineering best practices, they will generate at least 3 times more value from their AI efforts than the 90% of enterprises that don't. And again, this is all coming from Gartner. So there's quite an opportunity. And look, here's a simple example. Excuse me. There's a concept called human in the loop. Let's assume that OCR, optical character recognition, capability is scanning through a PDF, and the bot is not sure about, a newly added field. The bot will send it to the human to validate or confirm. then based on the human's input, it creates a confidence level and will start to process them thereafter. So in a nutshell, that is how hyper automation works. Later, that activity the human performed can be completely handed over to artificial intelligence, which is more an advanced development. Okay, so what have we found out in terms of customer pain points? You know, what are the challenges that some of you may be feeling at the moment? So a common pain point is the use of multiple file formats for the same operation. You know, this is where RPA can quickly convert a file into another commonly used format and do the required processing. Unfortunately, routine data extraction and reconciling is a massive burden and can take up a huge amount of your team's time. So again, another area. And some organizations have even have full-time employees to extract data from different systems. So as your team spends bulk of their time on mundane, manual and repetitive tasks, they're also likely to make a few errors. So keeping these pain points in mind, let me hand you over to Harshana, and he's going to discuss how Fortune leveraged RPA, as I said, to transform the finance function for a leading Australian food and beverage manufacturer that's using M3. Harshana, over to you.
Thanks, James. Like James said, I would like to start with an amazing story how our team transformed a finance department of a large food and beverage M3 client customer. So we were given a mandate to help the finance department of this customer to implement the RPA. Now, due to the scale of the organization and also due to the repetitive rule-based nature of the time-consuming tasks they had on the particular department. So when we started with the finance function, we identified some key areas that we wanted to focus on. Things like accounts receivable, accounts payable, costing, GL reporting, fixed asset, and some of those. So on each and every area, what we did was we identified processes on that are the candidate areas, and some of them were the low-hanging fruits that we identified, which will give them quick wins. So likewise, we started doing a proper discovery. Later, I'll talk through how we can do a proper discovery. But as of today, what you see on screen is the percentage of completion we have done on each area on the selected areas. So what we achieved? So what we achieved to date was we were able to provide an overall cycle time reduction about 90% for all the finance related processes that we started or that we picked. And also we ensured an accuracy of about 99% because we could eliminate the human errors that were there when a human does it. And also we enabled the client's operating hours by 24/7. So it could be early mornings, weekends, holidays. These digital bots will run based on the scheduled times that you want to do their work. So it's simply we have increased the client's operational hours. Also, we were able to free up the business users from repetitive work that we were doing. So they were doing some boring work day in, day out, doing the same thing again and again. So we want to fully eliminate the users from doing that one. And finally, we were able to achieve the client delight because we had a happy customer end of the day because they were really getting the benefits out of this when we did the automation. So the final outcome on overall at organizational level, they were able to achieve about 330,000 USD saving per year. And there were many tangible and intangible benefits that we were able to bring to this particular customer. I would like to now relate our story today or to our topic today, how RPA can unlock the values in your M3, right? So I will just let you read through the slides that we see next. Yeah. So if you really look at these slides, this is just to give you a brief idea of a few potential areas we have identified on the M3 space from a finance context. So from a finance context, things like banks reconciliations, inventory reconciliations, invoice processing, claims reconciliation, accounts receivable are some of the things that are in a hot topic in these areas and really will give benefits to customers if we automate these areas. Now, even according to Gartner, banking finance sector has the most of the RPA candidate use cases due to their volumes and also their repetitive rule-based process involvement. And very most importantly, it will eliminate the human errors that could occur in these areas. Let's now dive into a few more details. Yeah, so I want to show you some more use cases we identified in accounts receivable, accounts payable, costing, and so on. And what we have completed now is highlighted in the light blue color, and rest of the implementation that we are doing as a part of our transformation. So what you see on the light blue color on your screen are the ones that we have completed. So RPA can be used for accounts receivable to build reports to track days sales outstanding or bad debts, etc. It can also automatically pull data from multiple sources to prepare reports and allow you to set permissions on who can view and who can share with the team. So likewise, you can even set permissions accordingly to have proper security. Things like in accounts payable, RP applicability is around methods involves collecting invoices from vendors and also maybe reading it with the help of a OCR or optical character recognition system. So RPA can automate the whole transaction and credit the money to the vendor's account automatically. Bots will also send automatic alerts to customers, reminding them to provide necessary documentation and accurately process accounts closure process with proper tracking. So these are some of the great things you can do. And also now, when we speak to clients, something we hear is about the tracking or the whether you can do proper logging. So those kind of things also can be done so that you know who made the changes. If a bot or a digital worker is doing changes in the system, in the log files, you can simply see who made the changes, which is applicable for later when you do reconciling, etc. Now, keeping this in mind, let's deep dive into a few use cases. The first pick I have today is a use case that we have implemented, which is around the trade spend processes. So this case study is done for a large dairy customer in Australia. This customer had to fetch claim files by logging into different customer portals, and these were large supermarket chains that they have to deal with. It's about 60, 70, if I just give you a simple number, right? So the requirement was to process claims without manual intervention, and it had a considerable volume to process within a day. So the claim details were in various PDF claim files. So the bot had to match the claim details with the multiple reports and files to calculate the processing amounts. So once the processing was completed in the Infor M3, the bot generated extensive summary reports for the decision making. So once we did this, what are the benefits that the clients received? So they were able to save about 150 man days per annum. And like I said earlier, they had a high accuracy, about 99%. Why 99% is there could be sometimes 1% failures around connectivity issues and so on. So that's why we are leaving about 1% lever there. And also we were able to give them the operational hours about 24/7. Now this particular process ran around 2 a.m. in the morning. So by the time the users returned to office or work, they had the reports ready and it has done the necessary updates or the changes. And finally, again, the client delight was another achievement we did. These are some of the picks that I have done, but there were many achievements that we did with this implementation. Let's look at another one that is around the inventory reconciliation. So prior to this implementation, the customer had many reconciliation issues towards the month end. I think some of you must have even experienced a hectic month end. due to various reconciliation issues that you see. So they had to deploy a finance consultant to identify reconciliation issues and fix them on a month-end basis. So it took time, and also sometimes it took 3 to 4 days for them to, sort some of these issues. So what we did was we were able to eliminate the burden from the month-end process by early frequently identification of these value discrepancies. So we created a bot. This bot was an unattended bot. That means it will run it on its own on the scheduled time. And this will start identifying these discrepancy issues on a daily basis. Now, previously they were doing it towards the month end, but here on a daily basis, now it starts doing it. There could be human errors and so on. So based on that, it will start sending the relevant reports, the relevant stakeholders. So they keep fixing that so that you have a very smooth month-end process. So we have been, this bot or this digital worker has been running for about 1.5 years now. And so far we have done a lot of changes in the sense of enhancing it further. But from the day we did it, they have had again about a 90% cycle time reduction. And to tell you a time, so earlier they took about 3 to 4 hours per day to do this, and now we have reduced it to about 10 to 20 minutes. Within 10 to 20 minutes, it will just find the issues and will post it to the users. Again, the same things we saw, the accuracy about 99 and the operational hours can be scheduled at any time, and also the customer delight were some of the benefits that we achieved. If I move on to the next one. Yeah, sorry about the delay. So the UiPath is one of the leading, as per Gartner, they are the #1 RPA provider, or they have the UiPath tool. So according to them, they have picked and choose a set of use cases that they think are applicable in the RPA space. So if you look at the finance source to pay, these are some of the use cases you will see that they have identified according to the implementations they have done around the globe. So just wanted to share that with you, and they have rated it on a heat map from the highest to lowest on how they have seen the value or the benefits to the customers. So moving on. Yeah, so these are some around the order to cash. I just wanted to show that to you to get an understanding about what are these potential areas that you have from a finance point of view. So now these are some, as our topic is around finance, I just picked the areas from a finance point of view, but there are many from a HR point of view. There are a lot of use cases that are available, things like employee onboarding, resume scanning, you name it. So there are a lot of areas that even UiPath identified, and even we have identified. So so when if you're starting on anything around this area, this could give you an idea of where you should be starting to automate your finance functions. So keeping all this in mind, let's glance at the benefits that the RPA can bring to your organization. Now that you have also seen multiple complex implementations that we have done across the globe, like I said, during the case studies, the digital bots can handle large volumes of data, and it has the capability to increase throughput. So like the benefits we saw, this can run 24/7, which will give you the flexibility to run them at any time, day, weekends, holidays, and so on. And the other feature is they can be run unattended or attended. When I say attended, it's simply you clicking on a button and running it. So it does the process that it's supposed to do. Unattended means you don't need to touch it. It will run on the scheduled time. It depends on the requirement that you have. It will also guarantee a high accuracy, like avoiding the manual human errors, which could result in employee happiness as they are freed up with the boring, repetitive tasks they perform. The reason for me to group the first 4 items you see in the slide is all these go in hand in hand. And also, now you might have seen with the growth of your organizations, like we scale manpower, we can simply scale these digital workers or bots, enabling the organization to scale at a rapid speed. So while generating major cost savings, you can keep, adding these digital workers. It's a matter of adding a bot and automating a process. And what that will do is it will give you cost savings as well as it will optimize your team while achieving your KPIs. So now that you have seen the case studies on what we have done and the benefits and some of the pain points James talks about, which is the reason for you to enter this space, one of the key questions that we get is how to start your journey. So here are some tips from me. So what we recommend is for you to start with a proper discovery, right? So do a proper discovery. This could be targeting a simple process at a desk level. When I say desk level, things like a password reset or account expiry reminder, things like that could be applicable, or even at a divisional level. Now, if you want to start with the finance, like the case study we talked about, or even at your HR department, this could be um, uh, done. And also, or at organizational level. So there are 3 things you could do, either the desk level, a department level, or at organization level. So once you pick and choose which is your way forward or which is your focus area, following is the process that we recommend you to follow. So this is a kind of a checklist that I have given you. On this checklist, you will see there are 5 areas that we have mentioned. If you are the process that you are going to pick and choose, if the data is in a digital format, if it's error prone, rule based, high volume and mature stable state, this could be a candidate area for RPA. So likewise, when you go through your selected area or department, desk level, or at organizational level, you will have a list of items that you will get based on your discovery. So now what you have to do is there are a lot of ways to do ROI calculations. Now we have our own ROI calculator that we have. If you search the web, you can get a lot of calculations available. Maybe those are online calculators. So using one of those, get your ROI calculated and see whether it really gets you the benefit or the payback that you're going to put on. And another thing to keep in mind is there could be certain processes you would identify when you go through this checklist as a candidate, but it could be done very maybe once a year or maybe every quarter, which really won't give you a benefit. So you could maybe drop them. Once you do that, now you know the benefits. Now you have the list. You have to now put it on a defined roadmap. By prioritizing it on a proper plan. Uh, when I say a plan, it's a delivery plan on how we are going to do the implementation. So when all these are done, the next step is to pick and choose your right tech stack. So there are multiple tools available in the market, things like UiPath, Power Automate, and so on. So according to your requirement, pick and choose the right tech stack so that you can enter this journey. So this is a simple thing we wanted to share with you. If in case you want to start your journey, go with this simple methodology. Right, so before we wind up the presentation and move to the questions, I would like to share a very simple proven delivery framework, which will help to do a seamless implementation until go live and even beyond the post go live to up to the support. So what you see on screen right now is the framework that we have implemented. So based on the multiple implementations that we have done for different customers, we have improved it further. And what this is much more advanced version that I'm showing you today. This has 3 steps, which is discovery, automate, and the go live. So each section, if I take the discovery, we have identified 3 key areas like the key activities that you should be doing on each and every area, and the key deliverables that are that we recommend you to have on those areas, and the sign-offs, so that you won't move to the next stage without completing something. So I'll just pick and choose few things from this. There are things like as is process, where you really need to analyze what is your as is process, and you can optimize it, and then you can implement what is your to be process. That is the one that you will implement using your digital bot. And then you will do the development. And when you're testing it, make sure you use the actual production like data, use the volumes that are available, that you will really put in the production. Because usually if it's a claims reconciliation, don't just test with one or two claims, use multiple claims, use those volumes, and use realistic data that comes from the productions environments. And then once you roll that out, maybe go for a proper hypercare period for about 4 weeks, because the bot has to get trained. And once it's stabilized, you can basically hand it over to the bot to take care of things. And you can also start measuring the KPIs, whether it's giving you the right benefits that you intended on your discoveries. So that's how you should be using. So this is a framework I wanted to share with you all.
Cool. Thank you, Harshana. That's really useful. And I guess maybe for those on the call, before we get into the Q&A, and I've got a couple of questions myself. People may not know Fortune, and I just wanted to explain. It's not a sales pitch, but we're an Infor Alliance partner. There's over 500 of us around the world, so we implement and consult on M3 and the cloud suites. But I think what is also different is our parent is one of the biggest users of the Infor software globally. So we see things as a partner, but also as a customer as well. So a lot of our developments are based around our own experiences of what Brandix, our parent, is using within M3. So Harshana, just while we're pulling the questions together from the chat, there's a perception that with RPA, employees could lose their jobs. So, what's your viewpoint on this?
Yeah. So James, it's a very common question. That's why we thought of adding that to the Q&As. So I will share a small story with you so that you will really understand what it will do. So we did a implementation, a RPA implementation for a large Australian customer, and they had a business user. So this user was working in the finance department, mainly working on the Excel macros, right, doing reconciliations related to claims, inventory, and so on. So some of his boring work is now taken care by these digital bots. So we implemented RPA around that. And what happened was he was also interested on learning a bit of RPA. So he learned RPA, and now he's working as a process consultant for the company. So what he's doing is he's helping rest of the functions to identify what are their areas that they want to automate. So we have given him the guidelines of how to pick and choose what are the candidate areas. So he's sitting with his SMEs and identifying how to implement RPA around that. And then he acts as a BA also to pass the requirements to us to do the implementation. So he's, that's how it will transform a user. They will not actually use the job. They can be utilized to do, I would say, more strategic level work rather doing the boring, repetitive work that they do day in, day out.
Okay. Thank you. And please, anybody, if you have any questions, if you don't want to put them in the chat, feel free to unmute and ask them. I mean, Harshana, one other question, I guess, from my side, I know we get asked this, is what sort of infrastructure cost would a client likely have if they want to enter into RPA with a tool like, I don't know, UiPath you mentioned?
Yeah. So let's take UiPath for example. So if you are starting up with UiPath, what has to be done is you need to have an orchestrator. This is a cloud version actually. So when you buy it, you need to buy the cloud orchestrator. And then according to your requirements, you will have attended and unattended bots, where, like I said, attended bots are the ones that will run when you click on a button, and unattended are the ones that runs on a scheduled time. So, and once you get this, you will have to have an on-premise VM virtual machine to run the attended bots, which should have Windows. So this is all what you need to start. But when you scale up, what has to be done is now, when you buy an unattended bot, this has the capability to run 24/7. So within a 24-hour period, if you could, stack up your processes, it can take up to that level. But once you don't have 24 hours window, and when you need to expand further, you need to add another bot. Likewise, you can keep expanding your processes, and have a much more larger digital workforce.
Okay, thank you, Harshan. So we've got a question here from Hans. What are the key differences between UiPath and Power Automate? And does it have any advantages in M3 compared to Power Automate?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Hans. Now when it comes to this, these are two different tool stacks. Now on the RPA path, UiPath is the leading one, but recently we have done a lot of implementations with the Microsoft Power Automate also on the M3 side. So on the when I say the Power Automate, it comes with the Power Platform. Power Platform comes with 4 key areas: the Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and the Power BI, where you get the reports. So for example, if you have very simple processes that you need to automate, when you have a Microsoft 365 service account or account, you can simply get things automated using Power Automate. From a cost point of view, Power Platforms is a bit cheaper, where you would have to buy a per user license. But then again, when you scale up, there will be it will have to be scaled up. But UiPath is the number one, and Microsoft is also another option that we have. There are pros and cons in both, but you can use both these to automate. One tip from me is, if you are a large organization that are having a lot of processes, and if your roadmap is to automate a lot of processes, I recommend UiPath upon Microsoft, because this has been there for the market for a while now.
Okay, thank you. There's no more questions in the chat. Is there anything else anybody wants to unmute and ask? I know it's not always people's favorite pastime.
I suppose that we can. I can help you provide contact after this meeting if people come.
Yeah, sure. And look, our contact details are here. We'll be sharing the deck. And yeah, if you're interested in learning more, scan our contact details are here. Scan the QR code, whatever. But absolutely, we're keen to help people with our experiences from both customers and also with Brandix, because I think this is a key part for the future. Okay. Well, look, if there's nothing else, again, the offer's there. We appreciate your time. It's great working in the Nordics. We're enjoying that. Lena, thank you, and the Infoteam for giving us the chance to share these insights. And hopefully it's given some people some food for thought.
Thank you so much for your help, both of you. And all of you, actually. It's more. I know there's several more in the back.
Yeah, no, we have a good marketing team, and obviously, Harshan, I appreciate your input, because you're the person that knows it.
So then I suppose we can see if we can do something else another time. And thanks for today.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.